Well, today marks 8 years since the Marikana Massacre, when 44 mine workers, security guards and police officers lost their lives in a week-long strike for increased wages. This took place at what was formerly known as Lonmin Mine, where amongst those who died were 34 miners gunned down on the Kopi after the police fired rounds of live ammunition. Non-striking mine workers were also killed on their way to work, and 2 policemen lost their lives whilst dispersing striking AMCU worker members. Now, to commemorate this day, we are joined by journalist Poloko Tau, who was reporting from the ground at the time. Poloko, a very good morning to you. Again, thank you very much for joining us. I mean, just remembering the Marikana Massacre 8 years on. I mean, take us back to that fateful week leading up to the 16th of August. I mean, walk us through the events of the days that led up to the massacre.
Hello, yeah.
Good morning, Poloko.
Yes. Look, it started as one of, those days where we really did not expect it. And especially because the previous day, the day before on Wednesday, no one was killed. There was no death. Yeah. So we got to the copy. But earlier before then, there was a media briefing called by the SAPS, where the then Commissioner, National Commissioner Ria Piega, did announce that that day was D-Day. They were going to disperse the miners. And then even when the police came in a huge convoy, we still did not expect it to happen. What happened on August 16 to happen.
Yeah. So as we commemorate the day, I mean, ultimately, when we look back, one of the images that come to mind is the man in the green blanket, who ultimately also served as your source. His name is Nkineni Mambush Noki. I mean, you write how 30 minutes prior to him being killed, I mean, he winked at you. You'd spoken to him also the Wednesday night before. I mean, he also said that he would rather die than go back to those working conditions. I mean, as you remember the man in the green blanket, I mean, who was he? How do you remember your interactions with him?
Look, Mambush was only 30 years at the time, but although he appeared a little bit older, he seemed a little older than that. I only discovered after he was dead from his cousin that he was actually 30, although he didn't really look like it. I remember him as one brave leader for that age, really, the loudest of them all. He appeared to be really, was well respected by the young and old, striking miners. When he said, everyone must sit quietly, everyone must not, everyone must sit still. They did exactly that.
Yeah.
And you know how it happened that he chose to start calling me whenever he wanted to call the media. I don't know how it happened. The first time we got there was on the 14th when we started interacting with the miners. When we go to the copy, I didn't have a business card. We gave other colleagues, my colleagues were giving them business cards. And I just, tore a piece of paper, wrote down my numbers and my name. And then they just started calling me whenever they wanted to address the media. And that's how the relationship between us, journalists, and the striking miners started. And then No, he never gave me their number. None of them gave me their numbers. Yeah. They were the ones who were calling me. I never called them.
And you speak and you write about how, you couldn't understand why you'd chosen you out of all the other journalists, of course, as you mentioned, who had given business cards and you had used a paper. But you spoke about how, how Mambush was a leader. He represented all. It was not just about himself. You continued to follow the case. You, in fact, also covered the story, also interviewing his brother. I mean, to date, what are the family sentiments about, what has happened since then? Have they received justice? How is the family coping?
Look, it's not all about the family of Mambush. It's about everyone else's family.
Yeah.
I'd rather not talk about the 34 miners only. Remember, so many people died. By August 16, 2012, 10 people, including 2 police officers, 2 lawmen security guards, and 6 other miners. Those, including those who were not, who are believed to have been killed because of their, because of them not taking part in the strike and reporting for duty.
But looking at the justice for the families 8 years on, I mean, what is your opinion on the handling of the matter with regards to the families that lost so many?
I mean, I would agree with the family. I just recently spoke to 2 children of 2 of the deceased miners.
Yeah.
Were killed on August 16. You know, they are less worried about their future in that, you know, there was a trust fund set up for them for their education. They are still in university, you know. But I feel that, you know, the wheels of justice have not set in motion at all, especially for the deaths of these miners. We haven't had much on the investigations of the police who murdered, who killed, or who shot dead the striking miners on August 12, 2012. You know, although there's a group of miners who are still going to court for the killing of 2 police officers, and I'm not sure what I think as well of those 2. Lawmen security guards. Yeah. But in terms of the police killing the striking miners, really nothing has happened, even after the Marikana Commission. Even after a team of experts was set up to investigate just how the whole thing happened on the day, just how police officers were arrived at the situation that was, you know, a competency of public order police with automatic rifles, heavily armed like they were on that day. Yeah. Nothing has happened out of that report that has since been handed to the department, to the ministry.
Poloko, I just want to conclude the interview. Obviously, you're saying that many of the families feel sidelined and are continuing to seek justice. But in your personal capacity, I mean, how are you coping 8 years on? How has this massacre impacted your life? How will it continue to impact your life? Where are you at?
Look, it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. I mean, the impact is different. I mean, from one journalist to the other. But I mean, for me, I always tell people that on the day that it happened, I got to my hotel room and, you know, I walked into a shower, and then the minute I opened the water, when it hit me, I jumped out of the shower, because the minute the water hit me, felt like it was those bullets. You know, I couldn't take a proper shower that evening. But, you know, going back to Marikana itself is a bit of a problem. You know, going back to the copy brings back all the memories. So that's one place I'd rather not go back to.
All right, Poloko Tau. We'll leave that conversation there. Thank you very much for joining us. Former journalist at the Star City Press and Sunday Times Poloko Tau was reporting on the ground when the events of the Marikana Massacre took place. Again, thank you very much for his time as we remember the Marikana Massacre 8 years on.